Hey YouTube, I know I'm informal. I'm wearing an America t-shirt, which again is not meant as a statement. I'm breaking a bit of protocol today just because it's been an extremely long day. For those of you who care about the well-being of my child, which is usually almost everybody, which is good, he's well loved because a lot of people tend to like me as a person, as well as the fact that I'm a father who is doing his darndest each and every day to take care of his son, which seems to be a rarity, which I do honestly lament the fact that that is the idea. And in part, I do kind of blame society to some degree. We've had people who are raised in generations that dad is the disciplinarian, but in general, he's hands off. He cannot be loving towards his child. And in case people's minds go there based off of my research, I mean loving in a plutonic way. Let's not make this into something it's not. And I can't believe in this day and age I have to make clarifications like that. Oh, I do research on a particular topic that people have been consistently wrong about. And I must be looked at like I'm evil, like I'm bad, like I must be doing something terrible. But anyways, here's something that we recently switched pediatrics because of the whole CPS thing. The guy that we were with, who was already pretty ineffective and was no replacement for my son's usual pediatric doctor, who was an amazing man and unfortunately has met the end of his career, the original pediatric that is, due to Alzheimer's, which was really too bad because a guy like that does not deserve a fate like that, which is why I really find it hard to believe in things like karma and things of that nature. But again, I'm getting off topic here. Almost everything is fine with him, Vitalis-wise. Body mass index, they want him a little bit more leaner, but in general, he's not overweight. He's not, too fat or things of this nature here. Just he's a little bit high in the body mass index, and while I don't care for the body mass index myself, it couldn't hurt to do a little bit more each day. It's just with school, it's been harder at times, with the homeschooling to get him out with the frequency with which he used to. But it's not a bad thing, and I don't mind doing stuff with him. It could only benefit all of us, so hey. But that's going to put a damper on my already dampered schedule here. I've got 2 guest appearances over the next 2 Sundays with the Sexual Futurist, one of which talking about the Jodie Foster thing that I've already spoken about, but now with this whole we have the right to legislate morality bullcrap that Texas is trying to pull off, I have more to say. And the second one is on pedophilia and bestiality. Is it okay if you're not committing a crime against animals or children or both? Is it okay to come out and to speak about having that kind of sexuality? And since I'm probably the most versed of the channel, barring the people who run the Sexual Futurist, who do have usually regular contact with at least people of a pedophilic sexuality, as well as other sex offenders, I feel that I'm very well versed in talking about it. And if you want my cliff notes, the answer is absolutely yes, because we want to demonize somebody for something we think that they will do. We want to create an environment around them where we're going to punish them for crimes they aren't committing. And then in some cases, when the weaker amongst them, although I'm not necessarily saying it's a weakness to give into it, when they finally go do the thing that they're being punished for, because if they're being punished anyways, they may as well commit the crime. I mean, what choice have we given them, right? And then we act as if we've been right all along, that this proves anything. When we rob somebody of a caring, of friends, family, a stable job and a caring relationship, and by caring relationship I mean a normal caring relationship, because I know this blows people's minds, but people who may be of a bestiality proclivity or even a pedophilic proclivity can have successful relationships with adults. And no, it's not just so they can get closer to their prey. It's this hunter-killer mentality that we have that condemns, in some cases, good people to a life where they have nothing to lose by committing the crimes that we expect them to commit. And there's nothing to be proud about in these cases. There's nothing to be proud about in these situations. But the point is, if these people, and I don't mean to sound like I'm separating them out from everybody else, because if you've seen my research, arousal to a naked body, as bizarre as this sounds, can be an actual function of general sexuality and is in no way indicative of A, their sexuality, or B, the likelihood that they will actually create a crime or commit a crime in the future. Contrary to popular belief outside the scientific community, plethysmographs do not chart or show a person's actual intent. They are not the lie detectors of genitalia. That said, though, your usual regular, what we would consider well-adjusted adult male, since we haven't tried this stuff on females, because, oh no, there's no double standard when it comes to bestiality or pedophilia, generally tends to taper off. Eventually, the bodily responses get mixed in with the repulsion that they should feel, because contrary to what people, I'm sure, are thinking about the fact that I've done any research on this whatsoever, I do not feel that there's anything okay with 80-year-olds with 8-year-olds or things of this nature here. But when we get into teenage years, that's where things get a little muddy, because, again, we try to dictate when a person becomes a sexual being, and we try to legislate their actual biology, which is destructive, not just to the kids, but to this whole situation of things of underage teenagers having sex, let alone the whole muddy waters that is adult teenager relations. Now, notice I say adult teenagers, because oftentimes when people talk about this, they will say adult-child relations. A 17-year-old is not a child, and to call it that is to be disingenuous. It's to try to turn this subject into something where it's easy to picture the oldest, grossest, most lecherous person, guy, typically, in our minds, and some sweet, innocent 5-year-old child. And that's just destroying and biasing this topic from the get-go. If I'm talking about this topic, I'm talking about it on the terms that it is, so that we can keep our terms straight, so that an understanding can be come to, instead of us feeling, instead of thinking, and get completely off topic on, well, sex with children is wrong. Yes, it is. But in most cases where I talk about where laws and ideas need reform, I'm talking about almost adult teenage people. Because, as I've talked about, these laws that are meant to catch these lecherous men are being used against young men. In the cases of two 17-year-olds having consensual sex, it becomes an issue where if the parents don't agree with it, guess who gets in trouble? Not the girl in this situation. And there's nothing that should be okay with that. We should not be ruining the lives of 17-year-old boys if they are not indeed actually sexual predators or offenders or situational rapists. That's not right, that's not fair, and it's not working. We're hurting the very kids we're trying to protect with these laws. But the point is, If they're not committing a crime, then there should be no issue here. More people can come out as gay and to some degree as atheist than could come out as a pedophile or as somebody who has a fancy for animals. And this isn't even a thing with talking about where it intersects, but is not exclusive to bronies and furries in that community. The point is, it's silly. It's society trying to act as if creating this underground where these people have these closets where these people have to be into, because if not, they could be lynched, they could be killed, they could be beaten for not committing a crime, because we're not willing to give anybody or anything that we do not agree with a fair chance in this society. It's one strike. It's not even one strike. It's one strike in your particular community and you're gone. Which is the same thing that happens with a porn actress retiring from the industry and trying to get what society considers a respectable job. Anytime somebody steps out of the bounds of what we consider morality, or if we infer that they've stepped out of the bounds of morality, they are no longer somebody who is a valued member of society and is therefore open to shunning and can never, never be redeemed. And this is considered progress. This is considered okay. This is considered how we as a people should be conducting ourselves. And it is disgusting, to say the least. And at times, I wonder who is actually the monster in those situations. The person who hasn't done a crime, or the person who condemns the person who hasn't committed a crime based off of assumptions and ruins their lives. Lastly, and I know I'm breaking protocol with my timer here as well. The other thing that's going to make my videos infrequent, even though I have such a little time, summer is school, period, is I've got modeling projects, 3D modeling. I've got also artwork. I'm behind on my charity shirts. I'm behind on tattoo commissions, and I've got people rightfully yelling at me. I've tried to find the balance, but basically I'm going to get backed up on video work. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means I'm going to have those shotgun uploads that you've seen me in one day kind of situations. Tonight is a work night for me, meaning it is not a video night. I have things to do and I've got to get them done, or else I'm never going to get them finished. And that's not going to help anybody involved. So that's kind of the long skinny of it. Emphasis, I guess, on the word long. You know, my son is doing well, not completely perfect, but again, considering that this was his 11-year-old wellness exam, and that 90% of what came of it was that he's well, he's fit as a fiddle, he's a healthy young boy, should show that I'm doing at least an adequate, if not slightly above adequate job as a single parent. That this little village here is helping to create a healthy and also working towards a very productive child who can become a productive member of society, somebody who won't be stuck on some sort of welfare system or the things that people complain about. Beyond that, I do have these other vlogs that I need to do for the Sexual Futurist, and I really got to get on those, but tonight's not going to be the night. But I really want to try to finish up. I want to try to create a stopping point, a point that I can be happy to be stopped at come this summer, but an overall, overarching stop point. Because when I'm with my girlfriend, fiance, well, fiance when I actually pop the question more officially, but we are in agreement where we're going with this. I'm just not going to be doing this anymore, guys. I could be doing the comedy stuff, but I cannot put my family in danger. But I love you all. Take care.